And believe it or not, about 38 minutes after we were expecting the decision on Prop 8, we have it. Let's go to Pete Williams, our justice correspondent in Washington. Pete, what did the judge say?
Well, the judge has said that the stay that he issued when he entered his ruling will stay in effect for just a few more days until August 18th at 5 o'clock in the evening Pacific time, at which time the judge says all persons under control of the state of California shall cease to apply or enforce Proposition 8. So that means that the stay will remain in effect for a few more days. Now, this obviously gives some time to the proponents of Prop 8 to pursue their appeal with the Court of Appeals, but the judge says the stay that he put into effect will cease to be in effect on August 18th at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, and at that time, same-sex marriage can resume in California. And now that's his order. Of course, same-sex marriages then will resume unless the Federal Court of Appeals in the meantime issues a separate stay. Now, you can assume that the proponents of Prop 8 will immediately go ahead and seek to appeal to the Ninth Circuit, to the Court of Appeals, also in San Francisco, to try to get another stay. What they'll say to the judge is, you know, this is a big deal, you should keep these marriages on hold while you decide whether the judge got the law right when he struck down Prop 8. But there is an interesting issue here, Chris, because it's not at all certain that the proponents of Prop 8 have well, let me put it this way. There is a legal question about whether the proponents of Prop 8 have the legal authority to appeal this case. They are not the state of California. This is a state law. The state so far has chosen not to defend the law. And in fact, last Friday, the governor and the attorney general both told the judge to lift the stay and get on with gay marriages, the same-sex marriages. So these people are in essence coming from outside, the proponents of Prop 8, and there is a legal issue about whether they have the authority to pursue an appeal. So if they do ask the appeals court to issue a new stay, then you can immediately expect that question to come up. But for now, unless something else happens, and these things do change, the judge says that his order will be lifted, that same-sex marriages can resume August 18th at 5 p.m. Pacific time.
But in the meantime, would you expect the proponents to try?
Oh, without question. Without question, they will. You know, I'd be very surprised. Remember, these lawyers for the proponents of Prop 8 had actually filed a motion with the judge last week before he even issued his ruling, asking him to put an immediate stay on. I'm just looking at the text of the judge's opinion now, and to see whether he explains his reason. He just says that he looked at the factors. Let me go to the end of it here.
You know,
he looked at the factors involved and thought they weren't.
I have somebody I'm going to interview. Can I come back to you in a minute, give you like 2 minutes
Sure.
to look at that? We'll go back to Pete because we do want to know exactly what the reasoning was behind this. But I have via Skype Scotty Maldonado and Rob Huntley, who are organizers with Equality California, an advocacy group for gays, lesbian, and bisexual and transgender community. They're partners. They're planning to marry. And again, they join us via Skype. Let me ask you both what you think of this ruling right now and the fact that presumably August 18th may be the day that marriages can resume.
Well, we're just happy that Judge Walker has ruled to lift the stay on his judgment. This is a great thing for us. We are ecstatic that this privilege that's been afforded to so many people that are so important to us may be ours again.
What is it like for couples like you, and I'm sure you know many of them, who have been waiting and who have seen things change so quickly, up and down, up and down?
Well, it's certainly been an emotional journey with having it and then not having it, and having the ruling and then the stay and then the lift of the stay and the wait. So it's been certainly emotional, but things have been looking up here in the past 2 weeks, and we're really excited.
All right. Well, thank you to Scotty Maldonado and Rob Huntley. I want to go to John Kattis-Klimak, who has been following this from West Hollywood. What do you have there?
Well, we're hearing word the same thing you are, and a little while ago when they first heard word that there was a stay, that the stay had been lifted on the ruling, there was a lot of excitement around. Everyone was cheering and talking about getting folks out here. There's some live cameras here where the local media, they were trying to tell folks on camera, get your marriage licenses and get out here. And then we were hearing word that in Beverly Hills, which is the closest registrar to where we are here in West Hollywood, that they weren't actually handing out those licenses just yet because no one had given them the okay to do that. So they were waiting a little bit longer here. And now we're hearing word, as you are, about the whole situation of the stay being extended now another week. And while they're saying that it's a little bit of a blow to them, they are saying that they're still excited that the process is still moving forward. They're just waiting to see what the other side of this discussion is going to do in the meantime, Chris.
All right, John, thank you. Let's go back to Pete now. We've given him all of maybe 2 or 3 minutes to actually look at that ruling. And what does it say, Pete?
Well, it's only 11 pages, so that's enough time here. What the judge says is that any stay, that if he were to keep it into effect, would only serve to delay the plaintiffs, the people who would challenge this law, access to the remedy that they've shown that they were entitled to. In other words, he says, I look at what harm the Proposition 8 proponents would suffer, and I look at the harm that the people seeking gay marriage would suffer, and I see that the people who want to get married would suffer the greatest harm if I leave the stay in place, and I've already said that the law is unconstitutional. Now, he says that the proponents of Prop 8 had argued that a state suffers irreparable injury whenever the enactment of its people is enjoined by a court. But what the judge says here is to Prop 8, you're not the state. The state of California, the governor and the attorney general have said they want the marriages to go ahead. So basically, he says, the folks who wanted to stay have not made the legal showing they need to get it. So therefore, he's going to lift it as of August 18th at 5 p.m. He says at that time the state is enjoined by him from enforcing Proposition 8.
All right, so the next, I guess, big test will be likely the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Tell us about that.
Right. So what will happen now is, I'm predicting this. I think it's a safe prediction based on what we've seen so far in the case, is that the people who favor Proposition 8 will immediately go to the Court of Appeals in San Francisco and say, this is a big deal. We shouldn't have these marriages stop and start till we get this all sorted out. So please, will you put a hold on enforcement of the judge's order? Allow Prop 8 to remain in effect while you, the appeals court, decide whether the judge was right, that it's unconstitutional. So it'll be up to the appeals court to decide. And as I said earlier, there's some question about whether the proponents of Proposition 8 will be given the legal authority to even do that, whether they will have, as the lawyers call it, legal standing to even raise this challenge. It was one thing to let them duke it out in the trial court, but there's a sort of a different standard, a different legal standard for appealing it, and there'll be a sort of threshold question about whether they're entitled to even do this appeal, but they will certainly try.
And for people who don't follow this as closely as you do, tell us a little bit about the makeup of the Ninth Circuit Court.
Well, you'll get, generally speaking, the Ninth Circuit Court is based on, compared to the other circuit courts in the U.S., relatively on the liberal side. But this will go to a 3-judge panel of the court. That's when you appeal a case in the federal courts, you don't go to the whole federal court. You start with a 3-judge sort of subcommittee of that court. That's the first stop, and it's the luck of the draw to see whether the 3 judges are, whether they are going to be people predisposed to think that the judge got it right or that the judge got it wrong. So it's a roll of the dice, really. You can't really predict. While it's generally a more liberal court than some in the U.S., you can't predict what you're going to get when you file your appeal.
All right, Pete, thanks very much, and we'll stay tuned with you as you get more information.